Today we're going to look at practice test 3, the writing and language section, only the standard English convention questions. Studies have shown that employees are happier, healthier, and more productive when they work in an environment in which temperatures are carefully controlled. A is the correct answer. We see that happier, healthier, and more productive have the correct parallel structure. 4. Circadian rhythms, which are controlled by the body's biological clocks, influence body temperature, hormone release, cycles of sleep, and wakefulness, and other bodily functions. C is the best answer. It provides the correct possessive construction for body, which is the Y'(S) here. It must be a singular noun when discussed in general terms, as in this sentence. And it also provides the correct plural construction for clocks. We don't need an apostrophe there. Disruptions of circadian rhythms have been linked to sleep disorders, diabetes, depression, and bipolar disorder. Like any other health problems, these ailments can increase employee absenteeism, which in turn is costly for employers. 5 is A, it's correct as is. The singular verb is agrees with absenteeism. They're both singular. Number 10, thus businesses can install light tubes. These are pipes placed in workplace roofs to capture and funnel sunlight down into a building's interior. C is the correct answer. It provides the correct relative pronoun that fits with light tubes, and the correct verb to introduce the definition that follows. Are introduces placed. 11. Glass walls and dividers can also be used to replace solid walls as a means through distributing natural light more freely. B is correct. It should read of distributing. The preposition of idiomatically follows the noun means, particularly as a way to connect it to another noun or verb. So a means of. 12. Just as travelers taking road trips today may need to take a break for food at a rest area along the highway, settlers traversing the American West by train in the mid-1800s often found themselves in need of refreshment. 12 is A, no change. The plural reflexive pronoun, themselves, corresponds with the plural noun, settlers. They match. 14. Despite having worked for railroad companies, Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur, he decided to open his own restaurant business to serve rail customers. D was the best answer. We did not need the period here. Instead, we're going to put a comma. To close the modifying clause, an English-born entrepreneur, which opens with a comma. So this phrase here, an English-born entrepreneur, modifies Fred Harvey. It should be surrounded by commas. 15. These Harvey houses, which constituted the first restaurant chain in the United States, was unique for its high standards of service and quality. B is the correct answer. It provides the plural verb, were, and the plural possessive pronoun, there, that correspond to the plural referent, Harvey houses. 19. In the workplace, the women donned identical black and white uniforms and carried out their duties with precision. Not only were such regulations meant to ensure the efficiency of the business and the safety of the workers, but also helped to raise people's generally low opinion of the restaurant industry. 19 was D. It contains the pronoun they, a necessary reference to such regulations. 21. Living independently and demonstrating an intense work ethic, the Harvey girls became known as a transformative force in the American West. D is the correct answer. We need a comma here, not a semicolon, because it provides punctuation that indicates the opening dependent clause modifies the subject, Harvey girls. So in other words, this first whole clause describes the Harvey girls. 24. 1-MCP works by limiting a fruit's production of ethylene. It is a chemical that causes fruit to ripen and eventually rot. D is the best answer. Only the comma is necessary to separate ethylene from the apositive noun phrase that defines it. 26. 1 MCP works by limiting a fruit's production of ethylene. It is a chemical that causes fruit to ripen and eventually rot. While 1 MCP keeps apples tight and crisp for months, it also limits their scent production. A is correct. THEIR was the correct plural possessive pronoun, referring back to apples. 27. This may not be much of a problem with certain kinds of apples that are not naturally very fragrant, such as Granny Smith, but for apples that are prized for their fruity fragrance, such as McIntosh, this can be a problem with consumers that will reject apples for lacking the expected aroma. D is correct. We need the pronoun who to accurately identify the referent consumers as people and appropriately begin the relative clause. 28. But some fruits do not respond as well to 1 MCP as others did, and some even respond adversely. B is the best answer, do instead of did, because we need a present tense verb corresponding to the present tense established earlier in the sentence, with verbs like respond. 29. Take Bartlett pears, for instance. Unless they are treated with exactly the right amount of 1 MCP at exactly the right time, they will remain hard and green until they rot, and consumers who experience this will be unlikely to purchase them again. B is the correct answer. We need a colon here after, for instance, to introduce the clause that follows, which is an elaboration on the preceding claim that Bartlett pears are an example of fruit that do not respond as well to 1 MCP treatment. 34. From Michelangelo's David to Vincent van Gogh's series of self-portraits to Grant Wood's iconic image of a farming couple in American Gothic, these works by human artists have favored representations of members of their own species to those of other species. D is the best answer. We should have a comma, and we do not need these. This clearly communicates that the preceding dependent clause modifies works by human artists. So this whole phrase modifies works by human artists. 35. Indeed, when we think about animals depicted in well-known works of art, the image of dogs playing poker, popularized in a series of paintings by American artist C.M. Coolidge, may be the first and only one that comes to mind. B is our best choice. If we are going to set apart this phrase, like we do here and here, we have to be consistent. If we open the aside with a dash, we must end the aside with a dash. 36. Yet some of the earliest known works of art, including paintings and drawings tens of thousands of years old, found on cave walls in Spain and France, portrays animals. C is the best answer, because portray is a plural verb that corresponds with the plural noun, works of art. 38. For centuries, cats have guarded this famous museum, ridding it of mice, rats, and other rodents that could damage the art, not to mention scared off visitors. C, scare, is the best answer. It creates parallelism with the verb could damage that appears earlier in the clause. 41. The person chosen for this task, digital artist Eldar Zakharov, painted the cats in the style traditionally used by portrait artists, in so doing presenting the cats as noble individuals worthy of respect. D is the best answer. Notice there's a comma after task and a comma after Zakharov. That places this noun phrase as an appositive, identifying the person mentioned in the previous phrase, where it says the person chosen. It's identifying who that person is.